One time I gave my mom my weaving, and she said, "Oh, you gave me the river." And I said, "Oh, I didn't know." I remember my grandmother's fingers doing this. It brings me back, and it's just so amazing because I remember this work. I remember her previous work. I remember her telling me stories that every block, every border is the end of one story. And this is another story, this is another story, this is a story. But it all has to do with love. Between one border is one grandchild. Between this border is another grandchild. Which border is in this border? She had many loves in her life. I'm sure she even added her dog. I'm so honored. I'm so emotional to be sitting here with my grandmother's work in front of me because she's gone. But she won't be forgotten. And like, this is all love. This is all her love that is in here. So my grandmother is Mary Peters. This is her weaving. Shield is a weaving. My mother is the Dr. Elizabeth Phillips. And my name is Siyameqwot Vivian Williams, Lita Chiam. I'm from Chiam. So when it was the 60s, I was still a young girl. So I would, like 5 or 6, that was my job to help her string her loom, ball her wool. But prior to this, we were collecting rags. She would collect rags and we would rip them up. And that was prior to the wool. So we would I remember her cutting up jeans and cutting up stockings, nylons, cutting up shirts, cutting up dresses to make a weaving. And somebody mentioned Oliver Wells. He was coming by to record the language because my grandmother did not speak English. She spoke Halkmeelam. And one time my grandmother was outside making a rag weaving, and he was at awe at the rag weaving. And he's like, "Do you ever think of using anything else?" And my grandmother just said, "No, that's all we have, like rags." So from then on, he made it his goal or his priority to get my grandmother some wool. And, hands up to Oliver Wells. Kokolitsa. Kokolitsa was also the Salish Weavers. So they was a gift shop. You would go in there and sell your weaving, and they would showcase it. That was where they all would gather and meet each other and look at each other's work and, share their work, share their stories. When they would sell the work, they would say, so what does this mean? What does this weaving mean? Just like a picture, you wouldn't make a mountain. It would be however you would weave it into your story. I went with my grandmother to collect cedar root, cherry bark, and all the other flowers and whatever. So, yeah, collecting is essential even for my grandmother, even for, you had to go and collect enough flowers to make a dye and collect enough onion skins to dye and collect enough cherry bark to dye.
Nettles, right?
Yeah. So collecting was important back then, and even today, if we were to dye our own wool, we would have to go collect enough flowers and collect enough bark, collect enough. Because I remember yellow, we used to save all this sacks full of onion skins. Like, that was a collection. Yeah, but if you're talking about collecting art, if my grandmother made one like this, if she had wool, and if we were at a ceremony, she would cut pieces and give it to the people at the ceremony. Now, maybe today you would think, I only get a piece of blanket. But back then you would collect what was given. Maybe you had several women handing out a piece of their a piece of their weavings, but you would save them, collect them until you had enough to make your own, to put those pieces together, and you have your own weaving from everyone else's weaving.
It's revitalization of a beautiful skill, a beautiful tradition that today is used in many different ways than what were traditionally used. The Siyameqwot, no, those were not used. Siyameqwot is ceremonial blankets that now we see in pictures of important events. They're made for individuals to celebrate a new point in their life, or for chiefs, or for many things that we didn't see for a long time before, the Siyameqwot and the headpieces. And also Deborah Sparrow, the way that she uses her art, her weaving in the city to say, look, here we are. We're here. This is our land. This is who we are. Just know it. In those ways, I think it's revitalization as well as modernization.
When I see, collections that are in museums and especially museums and archives, I think about ancestors and parents and grandparents who lived through times where laws were so challenging to our own identity as Indigenous people, and how so much was taken off our lands. So I feel a lot of emotion when I think about that. On the one hand, there's beautiful, well-kept things that we could see in terms of baskets and carvings and masks and canoes that maybe we wouldn't see anymore. On the other hand, we were at a time where we want to see and bring these things home. And maybe there's a balance somewhere in there. It doesn't have to be one way or the other. And that needs deep conversation with community, and always putting in the center of that our children and youth, who they're going to grow up and maybe have these things available on our communities to see and understand, and maybe they want to learn to do the weaving, they want to learn to do the carving, because they see these things have returned.